The DS version is all about a unique and interesting brand new way to control wrestling. You get to do everything entirely with the touchscreen, no buttons at all, maybe start if you want to pause a game, but that's it. Everything is all representative actions. If you want to toss somebody to the ropes, the interaction you're going to have to do is going to involve sliding over to the side, tossing them over to the ropes. If you want to do a punch, tap on the hand, drag it over, hit the face, toss somebody to the ground, drag down a bunch of times, head first into the mat. We have the gameplay broken up into exciting situations where you're faced off with your opponent and you have a series of options available to you. 3 options in most of the situations, and your opponent has 3 as well. And we have a rock, paper, scissors set up with the various options that you have. You start off with the quickest option you have, which are generally little short strikes, punches, kicks, knees, that sort of thing. A slightly larger one, which depending on the situation could be a really quick throw, might be a bigger punch like a haymaker. And then the last option that you have tends to be your biggest move or a setup for a bigger move. So that's generally the one that you're going to want to gravitate towards, because you're going to want to work your way through these situations, get into the big powerful moves, work towards your finishers. So what you do is you tap on one of these icons and it'll tell you what it is that you need to do through on-screen prompts. In the case of the punch, you tap on the hand, an arrow is going to appear, you slide your stylus along, and when you complete the arrow, that's going to execute the punch. The top screen is for letting you know what's going on. We have the bottom screen reserved for showing the action, showing you what you need to do. And on the top screen it has paper dolls showing your health, and they flash every time you get hit, so you can see where you're damaging your opponent or where you're being damaged. And also anytime you select one of those hotspots, it's going to tell you on the top what you need to do. So when you're initially learning the game and you're not quite sure what the 2 big arrows spinning around is supposed to be, you can look at the top and it'll tell you spin. And so you can look up there, see what you need to do, sort of learn the language of the game, and it'll also tell you what move it is too. If you're not super familiar with wrestling, you may not know what a sidewalk slam or a side Russian leg sweep is, but you can go over there, you can see what it is, and you can sort of learn what's going on. We're hoping the game isn't too tiring to play. We figure players are going to have to get used to it. It is a different way of playing, and some people, particularly DS users, are going to be okay. If they've ever played any of the other very stylus-heavy DS games, it's not going to be anything terribly more demanding than that is. Really, the game is more about noticing what your options are and executing well, rather than it is any sort of endurance test. We really want to keep this a portable experience. We want people to go from move to move, go from situation to situation, really quick, fast, almost arcade-like action. I mean, the setup is a little bit more constrained than a straight arcade game. But once you get good at the game and you're able to recognize these interactions, you'll know what a spin is, you know what a tap is, you know what a drag is. You recognize all of these things and you can fire off the moves really quickly. And we think that's going to be very key for the multiplayer, is that it's not going to be tiring. It's going to be exciting as you're going, oh, I threw that punch, I threw that knee, I tossed him to the ground, I did the FU. We initially considered porting the game. I mean, that seems like the natural choice, to just port the main title over. But we realized that that wasn't going to work. But one thing that we did want to do is we wanted to make the best possible graphics that we could on the DS, because we always try to do that on the main title also. We want the superstars to look as amazing as they possibly can. So we pushed the DS hardware as hard as we could possibly push it to make these superstars look amazing. There's 2 groups of people that we're absolutely certain are going to be very excited. And that's the WWE fans. They may be a little resistant to this at first when they see it. They may not be sure what to make of it. But once they start playing with it, they're going to realize that they've never had this much control over their superstars ever. It's going to be a little bit unusual, where we think that they're going to be very pleasantly surprised once they sort of figure out, hey, I'm doing this move. I'm not just pressing a button to do an Irish whip. I'm spinning and then tossing. And then when they see their superstar execute that move and toss them up against the ropes, it's going to be extra satisfying for them to do that. One of the other camps that we're very excited about for this title would be the traditional DS user. People who really like stylus-heavy games. And a lot of them probably have never even considered buying a WWE game before. But we think that a lot of people, through word of mouth and through just seeing the game, hearing about it, playing it, are going to see what's going on here and realize that there's a really incredible game here, even if you're not a WWE fan. And we're hoping some of them are going to become WWE fans. You don't need to know anything about wrestling at all. You can just go in there and start playing the game and get excited about it. You can have a friend pick it up and the 2 of you can play, and before long you're going to be slamming each other, throwing each other, jumping off the top rope, all sorts of things. It's going to be very exciting for the DS fan.